It's time for the Creator Town Hall here on Studio Live today. And once again, you don't have to look at my face and listen to me rant by myself for the next hour because we've got a very special guest all the way from, a couple of suburbs over. Is the one and only Samantha Edge. How you doing tonight, Sam?
Hi. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm going very well, and we'll be talking today about festivals and busking and a bunch of stuff, and it's weird because a whole big festival happened here in Adelaide, and you and I both went to it and did not even catch up, which I think is
No.
criminal.
Which, I mean, just goes to show that Adelaide's not as small as we say it is.
We're not quite the country town people do pretend that we are. For the few folks here, because it's been probably over a year since you've been on the channel, I'd say. For the folks who don't know who you are and
Yeah.
what you do, why don't you give the quick rundown, the 1 minute Samantha Edge story about who you are and what you do?
So I'm a musician. I do a bit of busking, so that makes me a busker. And I also make some video content over here on YouTube. Are we on YouTube? Yeah,
We
I think
are on
so.
YouTube, among other places, yes.
Yeah, yeah, and so I don't know. I play some music and I dress up sometimes, most of the time now. Yeah.
You do. We'll talk about that because you got a bit of a reputation for the costumes and other things. And when we were chatting at the pre-show, you were like, "Do I go the wig? No, I'm going the headphones. The wig is going to be no good with the headphones," which I can only imagine. The reason I wear hats is because I don't have much of the hair, as you probably are aware. So we've got a bunch of topics to talk about here. If folks are here live and if you have questions, all you need to do is throw the word question at the front of your comment, and we would be happy to answer. And I always make this joke, and it's not funny, but I'm a dad, so I can make dad jokes. If all the hard questions, I'll throw to Sam, and any easy lowball questions, I'm happy to answer. But we'll say good day to a few folks who are here live. Hello to the Lily Pillies. Hello to Guzzo of Oz. Got Gregory O'Sullivan here. Mimo Japan from Japan. Hello to you. If any folks have questions or if you have anything that you want us to discuss, please throw it in the chat. And Sam did say before the show that my audio may be a little bit choppy and my video a bit choppy, but it wouldn't be a live show with me here on the channel lately if we didn't have problems with something, some sort of tech support issues.
So far, we're hearing most of it, so I
Yes,
think
yeah.
we're
So,
good.
yeah, that's good as long as it's the vast majority of it. If you do want to check out what Samantha is doing, because I think Samantha, you undersell yourself sometimes, and I think you're doing a lot of really good stuff. But if you want to find out the one-stop shop, SamanthaEdge.com is where you can go to find out all the things that are going on there. And there's a link right down in the chat here for where you can actually go and get your YouTube and the Instagrams and the Facebooks. Do you spend a lot of time on the social media side? Are you like me? Do you find it's overwhelming as a musician managing all the different accounts and posts and things sometimes?
It is overwhelming. I try to do my best. I don't feel like I'm quite up to like the top tier social media standards, but I definitely do post as frequent as I can over on like all the things. Like Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and I think there's even Twitter, but that like Instagram does that for me, so
Right.
I don't really go over
I,
there.
I like the cheat. If you don't know the cheat codes, yeah, sometimes you can just set up your social medias. I do the same thing. Whenever I
Yeah.
post something on Instagram, it goes onto my Facebook stories. So I don't actually know where my Facebook stories go, but every time I do one on Instagram, it just says, "Would you like this to go to Facebook too?" And I just press the sure, why not button.
Yeah,
So.
for sure.
Oh, very cool. So we're going to jump into some topics of discussion here. So the first thing I want to talk about is festivals, and there is a question. If you're here on YouTube, there is a poll question there asking, "Have you been to a festival in the last 12 months?" Because I know that in person and live music and festivals in particular are kind of challenging to run at the moment for many reasons to be there in person. So obviously the Fringe Festival here in Adelaide has just finished. For those that don't know what the Fringe is all about here in Adelaide, it's kind of like well, we've got the Adelaide Festival, but it's kind of like our big March Madness thing that goes on around Adelaide, yeah, for Fringe. What's your favourite thing about the Fringe? What makes you happy about the Fringe being in Adelaide?
Look, I like the increase in the people that are out, to be honest.
Love
Because,
it.
it can be very easy in today's day and age to just stay home. So a
True.
lot of us will opt for that now, but the fringe, there's so much on that it's just too hard for people to resist. So out they come, and it's like, hey, yeah, we do still have a population here in Adelaide.
We do, despite what you may hear. We actually got a couple of million people here in Adelaide. And if you're familiar with the Edinburgh Fringe, it's similar to that. You got music, you got comedy, you got performance art, you've got a lot of stuff going on, lots of drinking and food, eating, and all that sort of thing. Did you get a chance with all the work you do, busking and getting out to shows and things? Did you get a chance to just go and relax in the garden and have a drink and do any of that fun stuff, or was it just go go go?
It's not often, but I did this year have a little bit of money that I was able to put towards shows. So I
Nice.
think I ended up seeing 4 things. Yeah,
Wow.
that sounds about right. Four
That's
things. And there was one night where I got to spend some time with my friends in Gluttony.
nice.
And yeah, so, but I noticed you were out a lot, Pete.
I know. I mean, my wife is huge into the Fringe, so she went to a lot of
Mm.
stuff, and I went to some things that mostly that she organised for me to go along to, which was really good. It was great to get out there, and I saw Tripod, one of my favourite Australian
Oh,
musical
yeah.
comedy acts out there. I saw Stephen K. Amos, which is,
Oh, yeah.
funnily enough, a friend of this person here, the one and
Hi,
only Jade
Jade.
Star, who's dropping on by. So yeah, I saw Stephen K. Amos, and I saw a couple of other shows as well. It's a really good time, and yeah, it is so nice to be able to actually go out again. And yeah, look, there's still a
Yeah.
bunch of things you can do. We're not at full capacity yet. We still have masks on in indoor
Mm.
venues and that sort of thing, but it is nice to just feel a little bit of normalcy. And it probably like it goes into our next topic here, which we're going to jump into, which is of course busking. But
Yeah.
you're back out and about with the busking. How's that
I
been going?
am finally. So I think till this year, like last year, the last time I went was Halloween, so the end of
Yep.
October. And then I was just like, no, no, I'm just gonna stay home. And I only just started up at the start of February to go back out again.
Mm.
And it's been quite incredible for the most part. And so I was trying to make the most of the festival and having so many people out, just sort of riding that wave, you know.
Mm.
But it does mean that it's full on, because you're like, I could be out and making money at the moment, so I
Mm.
should be. So that you've got like that added pressure. So
So when you're not
it's
busking, you feel like
great,
you
but
should be busking.
it's like that double-edged sword. Definitely, like, no, you
Yeah.
don't deserve time off. You should be out busking. But yeah, uh, but
Oh,
still, when I was actually there, it was pretty good and not too many issues this festival season. So already tops last year.
yeah, well, I've been watching, and I won't play the audio here because we'll talk about that afterwards, actually, because it must be challenging managing some of the copyright issues and things on YouTube and other
Mm,
platforms when you're playing music and you're playing covers and things. But we'll just take a look in here, and this is cool. We'll talk gear later because we've got a lot of people that are heavily into the gear and how things work. But yeah, using the 360 camera there, and if people haven't caught you on
mm.
Facebook live streaming, the 360 is very cool. You can literally see everything around there, and there it is. There's your old couple dancing. This was a bit of a highlight. I was watching this one and going, oh, there's a couple dancing there, and you can see folks coming up and donating in real time. So it is really really cool watching you do the live busk thing. Some people not actually paying attention on their phones, but that's okay as long as they pay, right? Is that the deal? But it's
Well,
and that's sorry,
I
go on.
start to wonder, like, how much can you see what happens when I go busking and still be interested in it? But people seem to really enjoy the videos, and I guess it's even if you're taking it from the angle of like just a day in my life,
Mm.
then yeah, it still seems to draw interest from people, so I keep making them.
Oh, that's just fascinating.
Yeah.
The people watching is amazing, and you probably don't get to see all of it, and some of it you probably don't want to see, given that you are out there in Rundle Mall at night. And look, for those that aren't from Adelaide that don't know Rundle Mall, it's a very nice shopping precinct, all very sweet and innocent until about what I reckon 7:30. Is that when the more
Oh, it
unsavoury
depends on the
characters pop out?
day. Depends on the day. I mean, they're always there. You can go out at lunchtime, and
Well,
who
that is
knows?
true. Is it just that they're hiding in the
Yeah.
crowds? As soon as the shopping crowds go away, then they kind of stand out a little bit more, perhaps. But we'll talk about that as we go through, because yeah, I was watching a couple of your videos, and you were talking about some of the success that you've been having lately with busking. And look, I know you're very humble, so I won't embarrass you too much. But it is interesting to see that people seem to be, and I've just noticed it myself just walking around. I know I'm seeing people out, street performers, and it's not just because of Fringe, but before Fringe and now even after, are more likely to donate now. And I think those of us that are in the music industry, we know how tough it's been for the last year, 2 years, coming up 3 years. Have you found that? Have you found that people are just more generous and giving in the last sort of couple of months? Or am I just making that up?
Well, yeah, they are definitely more generous, or at least they have been. Like I'm thinking I might go out this weekend, and Fringe Festival is over. So who knows? Maybe like I always say, it's just so variable. You can't count on busking. You never know what you're gonna get. So I'm hopeful that it's just a positive like change, but it very much could have just been influenced by, well, uh, events that have just happened and then into the Fringe. So it might just wear off, and that was the thing. I was like, there's some magic again. I must grab the magic. uh, but yeah. Sorry,
Make
I
hay while
noticed
the
that
sun shines.
we're missing some comments here.
Oh yes, yeah.
Jade, what
There's
were you saying back here? Can't wait to
yeah.
have
So
lunch with Stephen K. Amos. I
yeah, that's it. So
yeah,
Jade,
I'm
yeah, that would be cool because I'm a bit jealous, like that I'm not in Melbourne now because after the Fringe, all the comedians go over to Melbourne for the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, which is a good old time out there. And yes, and Jade's saying that she's missing us both. I know. One
yeah.
thing that you do really well on your streams, and I'm a little bit. Hello, Russ8889, by the way. I'm a little bit less on the ball a lot of the time. Hello, Keon Music. Is actually keeping up with your chat. How on earth do you play live, manage your 360 camera, all your live streams, all your social media, look after the punters, and manage comments? Like I'll be on a live stream and I'll be like, "Hi Sam, sounding good," and you'll be like, "Oh, hi Pete." Like, how do you multitask like that when you're out and
Well,
about?
I'm going to say one thing that makes it a whole bunch easier than for you is that there's less people. So there's less comments to have to keep up with.
Yep.
So you can't, yeah, disagree with that. But yeah, I don't feel like I do a good job, especially like if I've got the 360 camera going at the moment, I can't even read them. There's
Yeah.
something going on with the app. I don't know. It won't let me on YouTube. It won't let me see any comments. Like it makes for not as nice of a streaming situation. I like the back and forth with the comments.
Yeah.
It is a conversation and everything. Whereas when I have to stream and I can't read comments, it's just like I know it's live, but it's just like a video where I'm
Yeah.
not getting that interaction back. So it's a bit
Yeah.
sad, but hopefully they fix it.
Well, yeah, that is good. Well, I mean, it's next level technology. Like when I first saw it, I'm like, I don't even know how this is a thing. And I think it's one of the things that I think in the Android world they do better than the iOS world because there is literally no. Well, I mean, Jade will probably correct me on this, but I don't know of any good 360 cameras. Like Apple just locks everything down. You can't connect anything up to an iPhone, whereas you seem to be able to do cool things
Yeah.
like that in the Android space. So it is very cool. Now we'll jump around a little bit here because there's a few different questions I had. The gear, because you mentioned there that you use the 360 camera. You've got an awful
Do.
lot of gear that you cart around when you're out busking.
Ugh, yes.
Got that. What? How do
Yeah.
you sort of manage all? There it
This is
is.
my
Ooh.
360 camera here.
Well,
In its little case.
let's jump in a
So
close up of that one. Ooh, that's
so
stylish.
on both sides it has these lenses,
Yeah.
and it uses the footage from both of these to stitch them together so that you lose this part. And somehow it's like it's not even there. It actually makes itself disappear from the view.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
but this one is the Insta 360 1X.
Hmm.
And since this, they have released a 1X2. They have a Insta 360 1R, I think, which is more of a GoPro type looking thing, which here's the
Yeah.
other, the GoPro.
Oh, there you go.
This one is the Hero 9, so I don't have the latest one, but this is pretty good. It's my first GoPro, and I like it a lot for the convenience to take that out. And then we have like my little Samsung S9, which I'm thinking of upgrading soon, just because it might be nice to have some higher quality, like what is it? selfie sort of camera
Yeah.
footage if I decide that or maybe not decide, but have forgotten to bring this one out, which has just decided I'm going to turn on my own.
Just randomly, it's like, oh, I'm ready
You
for my
mentioned my
close-up.
name. I'm here. Hello. Yeah. So, and I even heard word of an even newer Insta360 One RS, which is coming out, and it's like this whole modular design where you get different lenses that you can like put.
Okay.
It's got a 360 lens, or it's got like a 1 inch which takes in heaps of light and is great for like night shooting, or there's your standard lens, and it seems really cool, but then I can't swing the money for that. Like, I have some little toys, like it might be from years ago, but they still work, and
Absolutely.
yeah, you
Oh,
know.
as we say on this show all the time, it's like, it's not necessarily the gear. It's it's how you use it and what you do with it. And you don't need the latest and greatest all the time. It's a lot of it's about the performance and getting out and doing it. But I know for the one time that Jade and myself saw you Tetris your gear in and out of your car when you go out busking with all of the stuff that you bring with your case and with your keyboard and with the amps and the batteries and just everything in there. Obviously, you've got it down to a bit of a fine art with how you actually do that. I know
All
you've
you
got.
need is the gaming music in the background.
Yeah, totally.
No, I
I know
think
you've
I
got.
actually, on one of the busking videos I haven't released yet, I timed myself putting it into my car.
Nice.
I can't remember right now, but I'm thinking it was like less than 5 minutes. And there were a couple of extra pieces as well. So I was feeling pretty good about that. But
Nice.
I always feel like the packing up is so much faster than the setting up. So
Well, we did
much
see you
faster.
pack down in record time. I don't know whether it was you were hungry and thirsty and we were going to go for a beer, but you did pack up in record time the night that we were out with you just at the Fringe last year. So
I
it was
think
very
if I
impressive.
recall, I was like trying to be a bit speedier than my oh, I'm so tired, I'm just gonna do this really slowly sort of regular pack up. I actually was so tired on Sunday night, which was the last night of Fringe, and I just like gave everything, and I was like, there is nothing left here. And I was so slow pushing my trolley back to the car park, and I was like going up that slope. There's this slope into the car park which Pete has seen, and it was like 1 step, 2 step. I, I was so exhausted, but like it is worth me bringing all that gear because I get to do all the wonderful things that I do. It's not just going out playing piano. Like, I then have my cameras to set up as well, and now I've got a Square reader to take FPOS payments. So that's another little bit of. I've got another stand for that, like on a tripod, so it sort of
Yeah,
sits
right.
at payment height. So just put your card
Just
against that.
scan. Just
Yeah.
get people with Apple Watches walking past and hope that it
I
just grabs their credit card as they go.
I need to like have it charging something before that. But they are amazing because they can take payments from watches and smartphones and all of that. Whereas I've never had that technology before. I've always had like it needs to be the card or cash,
Yeah.
and now I am feeling a little shift since I've started busking this year in how people are welcoming the Square reader. And I think I've had and the QR codes. Like, a lot of people are getting more trusting of the like digital ways of paying
Yep.
buskers now. So that's great because it's been this horrible sort of limbo for quite a while now. So yeah, I'm trying to adapt.
No, it's very cool. And look, the next topic I had here to talk about was money. And look, we're both Australian, which means we don't generally talk about money that much. It's a bit of an Australianism to feel a little bit like, oh no, we don't. That's just not something you talk about in polite company. But when you're a busker, a lot of it is about getting donations. And I was wondering that exact question is that, yeah, have you seen that shift and are people more trusting? And I think one of the things of the last two words and the C word, that which we cannot name, has caused is that people with their technology and scanning QR codes has just become a second nature thing. Like people
Uh-huh.
didn't know
Yeah.
how to scan QR codes, and now they do because they've had
Now
to
they're
for 2
fluent
years.
in QR codes. Yes.
So has that been helping? Are you finding that more that your
I,
cash
I
to
definitely
credits
think that
changed?
really, really helped with things. I
Yeah.
know that many years ago, like it was just a normal thing in Japan to be able to pay in that way, like and electronically. And we were very behind the times, I guess, because we were all like, "What is this? What is this technology?
Oh
You want
yeah.
me to scan something? It's gonna be a scam. Like you're
Right.
gonna just take all of my money. Like I
Yep.
can't trust that." And now it's like, oh, I know what a QR code does. It's fine. Like my QR codes take you to a page where you can choose to donate or you can back out. Like
Yeah.
there's no like, oh no, I scanned it, now I have to donate. And yeah, like I think it's better than it was.
Nice.
And but then in saying that, over Fringe period, I have had a lot of cash donations.
Mm.
So as much as we're moving more cashless, it still seems to be out there. So
Which I
yeah.
guess, yeah, is good. If you can have both, then that's got to be the ultimate for a busker. If you get
Speaking of
donations
money
cash,
though,
yeah.
my local bank decided, nah, closing. I obviously I'm with Commonwealth, like you don't have to know that, but like a big branch. I'm not with just like some local country and there was like one branch or whatever. But I would always like I could stop on it on my way home. It was really
Yep.
convenient. Didn't matter what time of night or whatever. I could go in there and it had an instant deposit machine for coins. And I was like,
Yeah.
yay, that's amazing. And like, it would only be about 30% of the time that I'd go and it would be full and I'd have to go back another day. But now that's closed and there's like nothing close. It's really annoying. And I spoke to my friend who works at a bank and he's like, yeah, well, we don't need them anymore. People don't have cash. And I'm like,
I do.
obviously they do. I need to be
Oh
able to put
no.
it in somehow, and I don't want to have to go to it like back to the putting it into little coin baggies. Here's the 5 cents, and here's the 10 cents. And can you
Oh
please
yeah.
put this in? Put them on the scale and weigh it for. Like, no, I don't want to go back there. You made the technology. Let me be able to use it, please.
Let me use it. Oh, well, there you go. You have to
Yeah,
come down and because yeah, I'm a bit worried about our local branch here, but you know the shopping centre near me, they have a Commonwealth
yeah.
Bank, and I think they've got a coin machine. So there you go. Come down here, cash your money, and I'll buy you a coffee next time you're
But
in the area.
the thing is, there's the good coin machine, there's the bad coin machine. That one's
Oh,
got the
see,
bad
coin
coin
machine
machine.
connoisseurs
Yeah.
going on here. There you go. That needs to be.
No,
There needs to be a
one means
video.
that you can put it in and it goes through straight away. The other one is you put it in, you get a receipt, you have to join the line and you have to
Oh
wait, give it
no.
over, and then it doesn't always get in instantaneously. So,
Oh no.
which is
That's not
the better
acceptable.
option, you know? So,
Yeah. That is unacceptable entirely. Hello to Andy Goldsby, who's joining us. Andy was on the show last week. If you missed that episode, do go back and catch it. We're talking about the studio and then live music, and in fact, we'll do that. I didn't have this on my list, but instead of, I know we want to talk about festivals and busking, and you know, Sam's the expert in this stuff, so that's why I wanted to pick her brain. I know many folks out there are probably thinking, hey, I want to get out there and do it for the first time, like me, or you want to get back out there and start busking or performing live. So there's lots of tips there, but you've released a whole bunch of actual recorded music as well. So you've recorded in studios, you've put out releases on CD, streaming platforms, as well as you're now recording some of your own stuff. How's that been tracking? Has that been derailed by the
oh,
fringe and the
for sure.
busking in recent
For
times?
sure. Like I have a finite amount of time and
Right,
energy and
right.
it all went into Fringe or getting better because I got sick in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Not with the dreaded word, but with something that was not fun. But I'm all better now. And now, like, I don't know. How do you go, Pete, with like managing so many different shows and projects? It blows my mind.
Well, the folks around this community know that at the start of the year, I came out all guns blazing. I was all enthused, and I'm like, this year I've got a goal. I'm going to record a song a month. I'm going to get 12 songs in 12 months, and we're here on the 24th of March. I've done 2 songs. I've done 1.5 songs. I did my first January song. That went well. I then
Yeah.
started a February song, got distracted by someone else's song. I went, I want to work on this instead, and then haven't quite got back to that February song. So I mean, the way I look at it, the way I look at success is, and you know, we'll jump over because that was another thing that I wanted to talk about here was about success and how we measure success. But one thing is that I think that you do need to aim high and you do need to have lofty goals of what you want to do, but it's important not to beat yourself up when you don't get there. And I always say if I'm going to try to do 12 songs and I get 4 songs done in a year, still 4 songs more than 0 songs. Like it's still something. And even if you don't achieve those lofty goals, and yeah, I was chatting in the pre-show about sometimes musicians are a little perfectionistic. It might be something that you can relate to out there. You know, you could have seen Samantha adjusting her lighting just before we started here to make sure it was in exactly the right spot. We all do that, and we all have those tendencies. So it's very easy to sort of beat yourself up. And I know I put it out there on social media, and I think a bunch of people commented, and I think you might have been one of them, where I just said, your definition, like you get to choose your definition of success. And I think a lot of people are looking around, they're looking up and they're looking around at other people and going, I'm not successful because I'm not like X person or Y person. Whereas you're actually, other people are looking at you going, wow, I wish I could be like that. I wish I could go out and go busking and make money doing something that I love and perform for people like at my own time of choosing. Like, that's awesome. You're so successful. Whereas you're thinking, I'm not because I'm not, you know, winning Australian Idol and I'm not releasing, you know, million selling CDs. So how do you feel about that?
I actually wrote a song about this last year.
Nice.
Kind of came out in one of those like really sort of natural, surprising ways where I think I might have started writing it while I was driving in the car.
Oh, wow.
I was
That's always
like,
safe.
this just like came to me, and I'm like, I just kept repeating the same lines over and over and over again. And then, yeah, from that, like, as soon as I could get to an instrument and like develop it more, it just went, wow, full song, like done. And one of my, like, the second verse starts with, here I am, or let me, I'm going to have to sing it.
Okay.
Can,
Here you go.
can I sing it?
Of course
Can
you
I?
can. Everyone would love you to
Okay.
sing it. Yeah.
Here I am comparing myself to all these fictional characters and soaking up the curated bestseller stories. I'm wondering what to write in my next. And I just felt like that whole thing, it is. We are always soaking in just what everyone wants us to see. And it can be hard to measure up to these impossible, like, pretend
Yep. It
fictional
is. It is.
things.
It's so true. It's so fictional. I love the lines there. And by the way, can we get a round of applause in the chat there? That was pretty darn awesome. A cappella and without any warm up or practice. That was pretty darn cool.
So, like, and that song, I have recorded most of it. I would say it's like 90% there. I have a video, and that's completely there.
Oh wow.
It's like, it's basically ready to go. And yet I've been sat on it for about 9 months. Do you know when you just fall into that hole with something? And I think the hole is just that I am not sure that I am able to finish a song myself because I've always had someone else do it. There's one song that I did on my own, and it's called Warrior. I released it for a group called Cat Adoption Foundation. They rescue cats. And so I did all of that myself, but at the end of the day, I was kind of like, maybe it could have been done better if I'd like passed off to someone who actually was skilled, like really skilled, rather than a beginner like me. And I know you're always like, just do what you can. But when you sit there and you're like, oh, but if I could save up and I could afford to have someone else do those parts and it could sound as awesome as the past songs that I've had recorded, because I know we're jumping around now again, but
No.
my previous album, I recorded my parts at home, and then I had a producer who programmed drums and like added little bits here and there. And I had a couple of few musicians come in and play their parts, which I recorded at home again. But then everything got sent off to him, and he like smashed it together and made a cake. So I don't know that I can make the cake, or I make a very sloppy cake, and I love the music, and I just don't want to like not, perfectionism.
Perfectionism, perfectionistic tendencies. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and look, I understand. And look, you're talking to the converted in that I think of the people, the 20 people that are watching here live, and the 100 plus will probably watch the replay of this in the next sort of 12 hours. Everyone's going to be nodding along with you because I think a lot of us feel the same way or felt the same way until we tried it, until we practiced it, until we kept doing it. And look, I know I'm a broken record on this, and I say to you, yeah, create, record, release, do your thing. But I also understand that if you create and it doesn't come out sounding like it does in your head, that gap can be frustrating, and that is what you need to work on. Look, I've changed my tune on this a bit lately, Sam. I used to be,
Yeah.
yeah, do everything yourself all the time. And now I'm a little bit more like, you know what? There are some things that I just don't do as well as I know other people can. So sometimes you're right. You do just have to admit and I think that's hard to do as well, is to admit that, hey, I'm not good at doing this thing. I'm going to get someone else to help me. And there's nothing wrong with that as well.
You know, something I loved about working with a producer was having that back and forth,
Yep.
where you had not just yourself getting so excited about the music behind the scenes, but like someone else that you could go, actually, does that sound like, what do you think of this? And no, well, actually, we think maybe we'll go in this oh my god, yes, that's amazing, or like, yes, that's sounding so good. And it just amps you up. It gives you that drive to keep like pushing forward and get it done. Whereas when it's just you and you're like, is that good? Oh, I don't know if that's good. Let's listen to it 20 times. Now it sounds weird. Like, oh, maybe I'll just go away for a few days and then I'll come back and listen to it. And then a few days turns into a few months and you're like, I don't even know where I was at with that song.
It's definitely true, and I mean, even I remember because I've heard the song that you just sang before. You sent me a demo version of that, and
I
again,
did,
probably
yeah.
9 months ago when you were working on it. And yeah, you were just like, oh, I did this, I
Yeah.
did a thing, Pete. What do you think? And I'm just like, this is really good. Like, this is awesome. And I think just having that reassurance, and that's why I'm so big on sharing, and I'm so big on, especially those of us, and especially in the last 2 years, a lot of us are just sitting in our audio caves or wherever we are producing music. And if you don't share it, if you don't get other people's feedback and opinion, exactly what you said before, you get caught up in your own head, either thinking that it's great and it's exactly where it needs to go, and you don't have that person that can, slap you and say, not physically, but can
Yeah.
metaphorically slap you and say, it's not, no, that bit's not right. You need to try something else, or at least a nicer way of that, or to reinforce the fact that if you're not feeling confident about it, actually saying, hey, this is actually awesome. Yeah, I think we can work with this. So yeah, it's having other people around, and this community and the Facebook groups and all the other communities we have around the place do a great job of that and really do help. And I think that helps us all be more successful. We've got a bunch more to talk about here. I've got a bunch of topics here that I wanted to discuss, but if you're just joining us live, my guest today is Samantha Edge. There are links down in the description where you can check out all the places. We'll have a quick scan through here because you've got your website there, samanthaedge.com. You do weddings. There you go. If you're getting married in Adelaide and you want a nice keyboard player to come along, hire Sam to do that. Oops, I've jumped over that one. You're on the Facebooks, of course you are. Yep, there's that very show that we're doing here. Instagram, which I'm not even on yours. I'm on Rebecca Black's Instagram for some reason.
Instagram, definitely.
But Instagram is a thing too, and of course the YouTubes. Which there's us. That was a bit creepy. There's some Inception for you. That was just me checking the thing. I was going to show this one. This is the video I wanted to show because about 5 years ago you started this series. It's still my favorite thing you've done. It's your busking tips and tricks. My life as a buster. This is like episode 19. So if you want to binge, I said this last time you were on the show, but if you're interested in busking, all this information still holds up. Yeah, some of your gear might have changed. Probably some of the shops have changed. You probably changed your hair a bit from since then, Sam. But a lot of the information on there is amazing stuff. And yet you go through all of your gear, you go through all the setup, you go through everything that you use. And again, a lot of it's changed. And I wanted to throw it out here to you now to say, we need a 2022 version of this. We need your updated, my updated busking tips and tricks, because those videos have been watched by a lot of people. A lot of people have got good information about it, and I think you need to hire a camera crew. Like with all that busking money, hire a camera crew, get them to follow you around, and do the documentary of the Samantha Edge busking journey.
I think I mentioned to you last time I was on that I felt like it just kind of reached its conclusion. Like, you don't, like, how is there anything else that you need to know about it? But
Well,
yeah.
I could name, busking during a global P word. That's
Oh
one thing.
yeah.
Managing the change between cash and credit, like that's another
It's
thing. Like
a
we've
big
talked about
one.
all the things we've talked about here today are new topics. Like some, I know you've changed a lot of your technology. You weren't using the 360 camera, I don't think, back then, or maybe you were, and I
I
just can't
definitely
remember.
haven't changed too much on my setup though. Not given like how many years it's been. But you know what? It's good. They're still going strong.
Yeah.
So
Oh, look,
yeah.
and that's the other thing. That's why I mentioned it here because they're so evergreen and it's so addictive. Like once you watch one, you're just like, I wonder what the next one is, and you go on. It's like it's episodic content, and it's just so easy to watch all of those. And in fact, I'm probably going to like just sit here tomorrow and instead of doing my work, I'll just binge them all again because I do
Well,
want
you
to do.
still need to get yourself out busking. You do.
I still do need to. Yeah, if folks here, if folks that are watching on the chat and watching on the replay, if you can, yeah, just harass me as much as possible. Just say, Pete, you need to go out and
Yeah.
actually do this because, as a personal challenge for me, because I was getting close, or at least I thought I was, and then a lot of things happened, and then I caught up
Yes.
with Samantha about 18 months ago, and I'm like, yeah, I really think I want to, and then again, everything sort of went a bit topsy turvy in the world, but yeah, I'm running out of excuses, so.
So I think here we're seeing what's happening with your busking is what's been happening with my recording. So you're good with the recording and getting everything out, and I've been okay with the busking. But yeah, you still have the open invitation for me to join you on your first busk if you'd
I think
like.
so. I think that would be actually kind of cool. We
Because
could stream
I'm
live to
I
both our
can totally
channels,
be
and
your security. Like, yeah,
and
I'll
that's what I'm
bring the
thinking.
muscle.
No, yeah, you can deal with the what did Jade call them? The unmentionables or the
Undesirable.
undesirables that may be out there. Yeah, well, I definitely, like I say, I definitely want to do it. And I'm getting better. I'm doing some performances, but yeah, outside at least now, but just in private areas. And then I'm
Yeah.
slowly creeping my way out. I've got my live. I've got no excuses now. I've got my live rig set up. I've got the Roland Cube Street amp. I can get it all set up and set down in about 10 minutes. So. Yeah, which is probably why you're going to be very jealous of me because acoustic guitar and a mic is a little bit less
You'd
convoluted and a
just be
little bit.
there to rub it in my face.
You'll
Look
be
at
like,
this.
oh
Isn't it
yeah,
shiny and new? It
I
doesn't
put it
have
on my
like
back.
gaffer tape all over it.
But it has some. You know what? The problem with that is, I think I need to rough it up a bit because I don't think someone walking past when they see me like with my Taylor guitar and my Roland Cube
Yeah.
Street amp, they're going to be like, "Oh, he doesn't need my money." And sometimes I think if you're a bit more rough and ready and you got some used gear, people are like, "Oh, I'll donate." Let's take it out to some few folks who have dropped on in here as well. Night Train 1988,
Hi.
all the way from the UK. Hello to the Metal Head Hippie, who runs a very cool YouTube channel and some cool shows here on YouTube as well. I hope you are doing well tonight. Andy Goldsby says, Buskers always add an extra 30 minutes to my quick trip to town. Always stop and listen. Yeah, I think there's something about music, folks, that we always at least stop and listen. Like, even if I don't have any money on me. You know what? It's no excuse anymore. I need to be embracing the whole digital side because when I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry, I'm still in this mindset that if I don't have any,
That
if I don't have a
nothing else
fiver or
exists.
less,
Yeah.
yeah, if I'm only carrying like 20s and
Yeah.
50s, I'm like, well, you're good, but you're maybe not that good.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
if I
was
could.
confused by Andy's comment there when I was reading it. Buskers always add an extra 30 minutes to my quick trip to town. I was thinking, does he catch the bus? Do they like stand in front of the bus? Do they like, try and get on with all their gear and it and then it was like always stuff. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Listening. Right.
I know I did have to read it a couple of times to get there as well. Well, one thing that you mentioned, and it's in line with sort of success and with money and that sort of thing, is that you got some people can go watch the videos to find out exactly what happened. There you go. That's a tease. People can go over to your YouTube channel. But you got some pretty significant cash donations recently, and in the video where
did.
you were talking about them, you were saying, "Look, you sort of started talking, and I could see your mind ticking away. You were like, oh, and by the way, I'm not saying this as, and I feel bad. I'm not saying that this is usual, and it doesn't always happen this way. Do you
Yeah.
find that sometimes, even when you're talking about your success, it can be challenging? I know this came up on one of the community forums recently, where someone said, "Look, I spend half my time." Worrying that I'm not as good as other people, my other half of my time worrying that I'm big noting myself and making other people feel bad." Does that resonate with
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, for sure. Like, because I never want to say anything that's going to be hurtful to someone else. And so I don't want to lose myself in, oh my God, this is so wonderful for me. Like, let's discount everyone else's experience because like I'm having such a good time or doing so well right now. Like I never ever wanted to be one of those people that just disregarded other people's feelings and was big-headed about things. Like I ran into people like that and I didn't like it. I was like, no, we just need to be a lot kinder to everyone. And so I have to stop and check myself to make sure that everyone realizes that just because I might be up here right now, tomorrow I could be down here, which is like preview to the next video.
Ooh, okay, yeah, and look, I must admit, it is a roller coaster ride. We'll talk about. I've just got keywords here to go through things. What I'm talking about. Oh, I don't actually have this one. I'll throw variety out there, but I had honesty in the original ones as well because a lot of what you put out in the world is very honest. It's very much it's everything. It's warts and all would be the old expression you'd use for it. So yeah, we'll talk about that because your content it has quite a bit of variety. But first, we'll say good day to Wobby Wabbit. Hello to you, Wascally Wabbit. And the Lily Pillies have a question. Have you busked in other Australian cities? I know the answer to this, but do you want to share your experience with folks?
The answer? Yes, I have. Yeah, when I first started busking, I was hooked. I was like, wow, this is amazing. What would
Free
it be
money
like
for
if
doing what I
I
love.
what would it be like if I went elsewhere? And like I just made a CD because so many people were asking me for one when I was busking. So I felt like I was on top of the world, like, yeah, let's go. And I could like sell my CD when I'm busking in other places. And then I went interstate and found, oh, I kind of like busking in Adelaide. But I have busked in Melbourne and in Sydney and not Queensland because they were very hoity-toity and didn't want anyone else on their busking schedule. You needed to be here for a draw and we only take the best of the best. And so I just didn't bother about there. Sydney, I went to Hyde Park. I think I got a little bit of something from there. I can't even remember. Like this is back in the early 2010s, somewhere in amongst there. And I like literally just from going and busking interstate, I remember running over my toe trying to get my gear onto the train in Sydney and like breaking a nail and bleeding and being like, I wonder what I should do about that. I remember pushing my gear around streets, and if you happen to see the video I did with Jade, the interview live stream that we did over there, I did mention about the guy that was trying to sell hats nearby me that ended up following me around the streets. So I remember that, and I remember like just pushing up hills and being so tired and being like, where am I even meant to go? Because you're in this unfamiliar city. You don't know what works and what doesn't work. Whereas when you're in your local area, you already have an idea of like where you might want to go, where the people are going to be, or maybe where the people are not so much going to be, depending, because sometimes having a bigger crowd doesn't actually work as well, which is something I rediscovered again this Fringe. When I tried to busk on Rundle Street.
I did
my
see a bit
hometown
about
Rundle
that.
Mall. Yeah.
A bit lost in the crowd there when you're amongst all those people.
Yeah, well, like, so imagine you go somewhere and 100 meters away you've got two other musicians in a duo playing music for a restaurant. But then imagine you rock up like another time and across from you you've got a cafe that's blasting canned music. And just like, I like to listen to one thing at a time. And
That's a bit
most
weird.
people do. And so then it kind of is like, why are you busking here? Because we can't really hear you, but we can't really hear that. And it's just like a whole bunch of noise. Like,
Yeah.
and yeah. So, yes,
Yes, yes.
Interstate
Short answer is
busking,
yes.
done that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
But very cool. We'll jump into. We've got another question here from Ingo from Black Covers, one of our European viewers, who asks, "Do you need permission to perform on public places?" I know this has been a bit of a slippery slope, and I think the answer's a big fat. It depends. But in your experience, what are some things to know before you go out busking around permissions and permits and the like?
Yeah. So most of the time in like popular places, they're going to have something in place, whether that be busking is not permitted or performing is not permitted or busking is permitted but you need a permit. And so you might have to go through applying there. I mean, there's a whole range of requirements that you may need to meet. Here in Adelaide, we've got it pretty easy. You can do it online now. Ooh, fancy! It's taken a lot of time to get there. We used to always have to go to the council offices, but in some places you will like be required to audition. It really depends. Sometimes you have to arrive early in the morning and get assigned a spot for that day. It very much varies all over, but a lot of the time, do your research before you go to perform. I do remember something about like, if you don't have a case out, it can't be considered busking, and so that they can't actually like then make you leave or whatever. But a
Loopholes.
little loophole, but like
I'm
just
just
try and do
performing,
the
and this
right
QR
thing,
code just leads to a web page you might want to
if
check
you're
out.
anything like me, you just want to like go have a good time, and the best way to do that is to be above board with it all. So
Good advice there all round. I did want to mention, if you do want to check out Jade, how long was this show? It was an hour and 43 minutes. So if you want to
we just
find out a
got
whole lot more,
chatting.
jump over there. Just go to your YouTube and type in Jade Star with 2 R's and Samantha Edge, and you'll find this interview that Jade did with Sam a while ago. Again, a year ago, around about this time last year as well. So a lot of good information there. Let's jump back over here to what we were talking about. We touched on it briefly earlier in the show, but cover songs and navigating the YouTube copyright systems and all the other social media copyright stuff. Given that you stream onto Facebook, who are renowned for like shutting down streams when they hear 5 seconds of an actual real song, and YouTube, which loves to drop copyright claims every time you cover a song as well, how do you navigate that? Any tips for folks or anything that you've come across with sharing your streams and your videos on those platforms?
So I've never had an issue with Facebook.
Ooh, luck.
So that's surprising to me. Like maybe I sound different enough that they feel it.
It's a compliment, I think. Your arrangements are similar but unique enough that you don't get flagged. Well, that is good. It must be that acoustic guitarists get pinged because we're all just a dime a dozen and everyone just plays Wonderwall and they're like, we've heard that before.
YouTube, on the other hand, very much. I get the copyright claims all the time, but they're fine. It's the copyright strikes that you want to look out for. And basically, the way I safeguard myself, and this is not great for like making money or anything like that, is that I tend not to monetize when I am putting up a video that involves cover songs. So the only way that I will go ahead and monetize, say, a Come Busking With Me, where I have performed a whole bunch of songs, is if they have the copyright claims to match the songs that I've played, and I know that definitely the money will go to the people that it is meant to, because then you can choose to share revenue. So I don't tend to monetize any Come Busking With Me videos that have cover performances in them. You may notice if you start to watch my Come Busking With Me videos that I kind of alternate the ones where I include the sound and the ones where I chuck a backing like over that montage music and just show a little bit and just have it be more so me talking about the experience and showing little bits here and there rather than it just being me actually singing the songs. And then if I happen to put up a cover song just on its own, like Pete does, like a lot of people do, then I wait for that copyright claim to come in. If it matches, then I can click that share revenue. So Yeah.
And that's,
I
yeah, I think that's something that a lot of folks understand about copyright claims as well, is that sometimes it's instant, but sometimes it can actually take a little while to actually come in there too, because it's scanning all the music that you have out there. So sometimes you'll get a random claim from a video and you're like, wait, what? I haven't
yeah.
done this for a long time, and it's from a video from 6 months ago that they suddenly go, oh no, now we've got that. Because, and again, if you're playing someone else's song, it may not be part of Content ID, but they may add it down the track. So there's always that. But again, cover songs, if you're worrying about this sort of stuff, you're not risking a strike, because a strike is when you're using the original audio. So as long as you're covering it, as long as it's
Yeah.
your own work and your own singing, your own playing, and you're not using a backing track that's got the original sound in there, you won't ever have any problems with. At least in my experience, you'll never have a copyright strike, but you'll get claims out the wazoo like I do every week when I do the happy hour show. We did have so the Metalhead Hippie did just sort of mention it out there that I don't know if you're not familiar with the Metalhead Hippie. So the problem that Metalhead Hippie has is that it sounds like it's only about metal, but he does music of all sorts of different music and all sorts of different sounds
Really?
and things. So he's just started like a live music show, and he did just mention, because he said he'd like for me to come on and play live, and he said, and Samantha should too. So there you go. Maybe you need
Oh.
to come on, and we could be an Adelaide double act on the Metalhead Hippie show. That could be a bit of fun. Where are we at here? We did have a few more folk.
Oh,
Music Realm, hello to you. Thank you for dropping on by. And to Dan Eckberg, thank you for dropping in here. We have 10 minutes left, folks. If you do have any final questions for Sam, please throw your questions in the comments here. Just put the word question there. I want to ask you a really weird, I've decided to call this a curly question section. And it's nothing bad, don't worry, but I had this happen to me a few weeks ago, and I wanted your opinion on this as a busker, Sam.
right.
So this duo were busking in Adelaide. You probably know them. I hadn't heard them before, and they sounded really good. There was this couple, and they were just like,
Barbarella and Jai.
possibly. They were jamming out. They were doing amazing stuff. They sounded great, and I
Yep.
was walking along, and I stopped, and then I walked past, and I'm like, no, I want to listen to more. And I circled back around and came back, and I sat there and watched it for 10 minutes, and I'm like, these guys are really good. And
Yeah.
so I gave them $20 because I'm like, I want to donate. And they're like, oh, do you want a CD? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And so I took their CD and gave them the $20. Now, that CD is never going to get played in any player because I don't listen to physical media at all anymore.
Oh,
As a busker, would you be offended? Because they seem really keen for me to have this CD, whereas I was like, oh no, I just enjoyed the music here for a while and have the $20 and keep the CD, sell it to someone else. But the fact that they gave me that CD, did I do the right thing by just accepting it politely, and even though it's never going to get played, and wasting their resources, or should I have said, "Oh, that's okay. I just really dug the tunes. I don't really need the CD." What say you?
well, you can go either way. Like they
Yeah,
could be like me with millions in their garage, and it could just help them to like think that it's
just gonna
going
get rid
somewhere
of it.
good. Or you can easily turn it down. Like I know it seems like, oh, it's really awkward, like having to reject something. But I mean, an easy out is, oh, sorry, I don't have a CD player, but I really enjoyed your
Why didn't
music.
I think of that? I didn't have a CD player, and then be like,
But
"Oh, yeah,
you could have easily just said, "Oh no, thank you so much. I really enjoyed the music, but I
yep,
just don't listen to music that way." Like you really don't even need. You can just say no. No,
true.
thank you. Have a
No,
great
thank you."
night. Like that,
See,
there
I'm
are.
getting better at no, but I still struggle.
Yeah, it can be hard. I mean, I've had to. I just thinking about when I kind of last said no, thank you in that manner.
Mm.
I was out busking on Saturday night and someone came up and they're trying to like reach for my hands to grab at me and I was like, no, thank you. No, no.
Oh,
Yeah.
look,
She was quite
yeah,
drunk, you know. And
well,
she was like
yeah,
trying to grab at me on the piano and so I was like moving them off the
clunk,
keys and I
clunk,
was like, no,
clunk.
no, 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 you don't like.
No touching,
And
no
then
touching.
like as soon as I finished, I like did all over my hands with the sanitizer and then got on the keys and I'm trying to like, this is the world that we live in at the moment. It's
Oh,
like,
it,
can you
it is.
just leave me, please?
It is interesting, and I saw in one of your videos you mentioned something that yeah, people came up and wanted to take a selfie, and you forget yourself in those
Yeah,
moments,
I
don't you? Where
did.
you're like, oh,
It's like,
that's
yeah, it's
totally
fine.
cool. Of course you can. And then
Yeah.
you're like, wait a minute, probably shouldn't be doing having people breathing down my neck like that. It's probably not the best idea. But we only have about 7 minutes left. I've got this question for you, Samantha. Why do you
Yes.
busk at night? I know you've probably been asked this before. I know we've chatted about it before, but most buskers go out during the daytime where there's lots of light around. There's security guards in front of shops. there's lots of other people about. You busk at night time when some of those undesirable characters may be out and touching your stuff and getting in your face and dancing
Yeah.
around and all that sort of jazz. What are I guess, the pros and cons and the benefits of when you choose to
Okay,
busk?
okay, let's start with the pros. It's nice and quiet. There's
Right.
space.
Yep.
The money is good.
Yep.
I'm awake.
You are a bit of a night owl.
It's cooler. So, and generally there's actually more giving people out just in general. The cons being what you've said, like undesirables, getting stolen from, having people touch you, having people want to play your instrument all the time. Just there's all that stuff, but it's like it comes hand in hand. But although I don't mind when I just get the pros, the cons just go away for the night.
Right.
But yeah, like it's really hard to get a spot in the daytime, and when you do, like even I was in town last week or something, and I saw someone there playing the squeeze box. What's
Yes,
that
yes.
called?
Accordion, piano accordion.
Yeah, like amazing, absolutely amazing. Barely anyone paying attention. Barely any donations in his case. And you know what? I realized I didn't have money on me that day either because I had all my donations at home waiting till I could go as far as I need to go to find a bank. So I didn't have anything to give him. Luckily, I had met up with Mum. She had something and threw it to him.
Yep.
Not all buskers have digital ways of being paid. Some people starting out are still just like looking for the cash and
hat on the
don't
ground
have those
throwing your
things.
coins.
But they are like so easy to set up. The QR code things are really simple, and if you want to put down like $50 and get yourself a Square reader as well, you can, but it's like in the air yet whether it's like gonna return that money. I'll keep you posted type thing. I did hear from a fellow busker who had just purchased one this year, and he had it out for 2 nights and used it 4 times in total. So twice a night, like that's not too bad. Like I think I at that point was like, I just got my first Square donation. I've had this thing for like a year, so yeah.
I think it will be. You're future-proofing yourself, Sam. It'll be the way of the future. In the last 3 minutes, one thing that I wanted to talk. We could talk for this about 30 minutes, but in just the last few minutes here, you have a lot of variety. And one thing that I often say on this show, because this is the Creator Town Hall, we talk about creators, and the whole idea is that hopefully folks watch this and they go away inspired because they've heard from someone else about all of your experiences. You do something better than a lot of folks, which is that you make sure that you mix things up, that when you're doing music or when your music's not doing it for you, you've got a whole bunch of other hobbies. You got your pets, you got your artwork, you got a whole bunch of other things, and your channel is just like amazing because it's got so much variety and so many different things to check out. How important is that, and how did you find that balance of being able to do music but also have time for other things, and how important do you think that is?
Oh, look, you need to feel fulfilled, and as much as I love music, I do need to switch it up. Otherwise, it just gets repetitive and boring. And like, I like to follow just where my heart is taking me. And like, you might be able to see there are paints in the background. I've gathered many paints because like, up there, nope. There we go. There's some artwork that I made. That pink table up the back there. I painted that wall as well. And all those things sitting on like these shelves up here, they're all paintings that I've done. But anyway, yes, I like to keep it new. And that's why like, every different busking session, I've got a different wig on and different clothes. And I find it fun. You got to keep the fun in life. And so, yeah, I don't feel like I balance things very well, but I try and sort of rotate, between each thing and give a little time here and there, but then albums don't get made.
I guess there's a fine line between balancing a lot of things and trying to do way too much and biting off too much that you can chew sometimes.
What are you talking about? You're not talking about me.
No, no, not at all. No, you don't have too much going on at all. It is always an absolute blast and a lot of fun to have a chat, and we don't catch up often enough. So the fact that we have to do it on a live show on YouTube and Facebook is a bit weird, but we'll have
Yeah,
to get together and grab a coffee and talk busking, and you can finally convince me to go out and do it and get out there
yeah.
and get out of my
Like
comfort zone.
I think we just need to make it a video
I think so. As
because
long as you can double up and make it content, then yeah,
yeah, exactly. You're gonna have that more like push to get there and do it.
do
And
it.
I do think like when you're trying out something, having someone else there to cheer you on is always really good as well.
And just go, am I? Because yeah, my main thing is, I'm like, what if I'm way too loud? What if people are like looking at me going, "Ooh, he's got his amp turned up way too loud and not doing that." So yes, I think just having that. So again, like I said at the very start, got to go full circle here. Someone in the community, like another person, another human, that can just either say to you, "Yeah, you are actually doing it wrong, and maybe try this," or "It's actually fine. You don't need to stress. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all going to be fine." So yes, no, I appreciate that, and I will take you up on it. Maybe 2027 before we do, but we'll get there in the end when I get the
Hey,
time and the courage.
can you see what the Lily Pillies just said?
Oh,
They
there you
want to see
go.
a duet.
Well, that could oh, there you go. I'll just rock up to one of your busking sessions with my guitar and stand next to you and start playing along, and we'll see how that goes. That will be cool.
Well, you'd be able to bring your amp, and then it'd be like, you know, you're busking with me.
You'd lose all your donations because they'd be like, look at that fancy amp. Clearly, they can afford to buy things, so I'm not going to donate. No, not true. Thank you. Any parting words for the wonderful folks here in the community, Samantha, before I let you go and get some, well, I was going to say get some rest, but this is probably your prime time. You'll probably be up for 4 hours
Oh yeah,
creating.
yeah. I'm gonna get started on my day in a sec. Uh, no, well, I don't know. Just keep it fun. Keep enjoying what you're doing. If you're not
Yep.
enjoying it, change it up. Try something else. It might just be what you need to come back to that thing and actually get it done. Maybe.
Absolutely. Very, very good words. And if you want to hear more of Sam's actual music as opposed to just her words, do go and check it out. I think you'll be, I was going to say pleasantly surprised. That sounded really horrible. You will
No,
be
that's
very
fine. I
impressed.
totally get that.
You will
This
be
is
very
my, we're
impressed.
having a chilled out chat sort of voice. My singing voice is
That's
much
it.
more,
Yes, very,
yeah.
very, very theatrical, very passionate, and very emotive. So go and listen to Samantha's music and check out her series about busking and all the other things going on in her world, including her pets that challenge her on a daily basis. But I'm sure she loves very much. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you everyone for being here. As we say at the end of every show, please this week especially be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and keep creating. I'll see you next time, folks. Thank you again, Sam.